Well, hello, Waypoint family. This is Pastor Tim. I wanted to present this video as a way of talking to us about the budget and including people who would be interested in kind of knowing what's going on, but may feel like coming to the annual meeting isn't the best choice for them. So I want to include everybody, but also to get the information out to you, I guess, in as clear a way and as good a way as I can beforehand. So surprise, you got the email and you have the documents. And then I wanted to just kind of talk you through some of this, kind of anticipating. We often have our budget discussion that happens, and we'll still certainly leave time for that. But I felt like maybe we might all feel a little bit more prepared with this. So here is the 2020-21 proposed budget, and I've included the names of our stellar budget committee: Mike Birch, Julie Brewster, Mark Christensen, Brandon Marshall, Renee Smith, and myself. And just kind of a way of explanation here: Mike Birch is an elder, and so he brought that perspective into the budget meeting. Brandon Marshall is a deacon, and so he kind of brought that voice there for us, and it was good to have those two groups represented in the process. I just think it was healthy and good for us all. Julie Brewster and Mark Christensen are part of the Waypoint body at large. They're both members here, but they weren't. Their official capacity in this sense was that they're interested and invested in just kind of what's going on financially with the church, and bringing that voice. Kind of being a good representative for everybody. So helping us sometimes, we're in it so much as leadership, getting that outside perspective was really helpful for us. Renee Smith is our overseer of bookkeeping and was able to bring a good perspective as well, but also good information. Sometimes we needed that to take place and just to kind of clear some things up. So finding reports if we needed to find them quickly. But we had a lot to work with. So, and I'm there as pastor and kind of bringing that voice to what's happening. I wanted to start by just giving you a summary of 2019-2020 from a financial perspective. For those of you who do not know, our fiscal year runs October through September. We're having this meeting here in September so that we can hopefully approve a budget and have that kick in October and function that way. So these numbers this is basically 11 months, 11 of 12 months represented here. This concludes at the end of August. And as you can see, it's been a pretty healthy year for us. Just a quick word of explanation here. This budget, the document that you're looking at, or will be looking at here with me in a moment, and perhaps have with you on the email, speaks to our tithes and offerings. We talk about it as a general fund, but in terms of like anticipated income that comes, mostly this is what we're talking about. As we're trying to designate, okay, well, what are we going to do with those funds that come in? You'll also see that I have other income that's acknowledged there, and that can be a variety of things, and we'll talk maybe more about that at the meeting itself, because it's a chunk, but it's different things. So it includes things like camp fees. It includes things like designated giving, which is, there's kind of about 3 or 4 different categories where that ends up going to, and just sort of how we understand all of that. But all of that is there. The expenses, by the way, that 631 number, that includes, it's apples to apples, so that income total of 701 and the expenses of 631, they deal with not only our tithes and offerings in terms of what comes in, what goes out, but also, so the expense, I guess, that would match up with, say, a camp fee would be camp itself, right? So that kind of, all those things kind of get into there, and we'll address that in a different format. We'll get through this now. So that's wonderful. By the way, this is a moment where I look at this and I just say, thank you, Waypoint family, for your faithfulness through a really unsteady kind of a year. And I know it's been said so many millions of times already, but it just has been different. And I have been so appreciative of your faithfulness and your generosity. When we met in this format last time, so our last annual meeting, so 2019, the checking number and the savings number didn't look like this. And so thank you for responding to that need. It's good. Our mortgage is there. By the way, that mortgage continues to drop. One of those designated incomes is people that give specifically to the reduction of the mortgage or the mortgage repayment. And so when those monies come in, by the way, they just go straight to that. So if you're one of those people, thank you so much. If you would like to help reduce debt, that's important to you, then you can go ahead and designate that. But there you have it. So just a quick summary. That's where we stand, and it's pretty reasonable. As we come to the budget itself, again, you see that line there, general fund expenses. So this is really what we're anticipating. Those, like the money that comes in from tithes and offerings, will be spent in these ways. Just a couple of quick highlights. I won't go through each line item, but the Waypoint South rent, the line number 2, is quite a bit less than it was last year. And actually, it's even less than how we had drafted it as a budget committee. That's because new information came to us. Waypoint South will be meeting at Long Branch Improvement Club, and they are being just so accommodating to us. They're charging us such a minimal amount of rent. That $15,000 actually might even be a little bit on the high side. We wanted to leave ourselves some wiggle room for anything that might be unforeseen, but just kind of a screaming deal. So thank you, LIC, for your kindness to us. The second thing you'll notice there is we split building and grounds into 2 different kinds of lines. One is maintenance, which again, these are exactly like they sound, but before this was all one line item, and we felt like it was appropriate to split those 2 things out and separate things that were just expected and routine versus things that are more project oriented. So projects, examples of those things would be like we built, the deacons built a wonderful storage shed on our property here, just to kind of help us get better at that. We would like to do another one of those things. That's part of what's anticipated in the 12,000. Just those big ticket items. Some of them are planned for, and some of them they're unexpected, but we know that they're likely to happen. A freezer goes out, a heat pump fails, something of those. They're just larger ticket items. They're not normal maintenance, but they're part of what's happening. So we try to leave ourselves some room there. We'll keep going. The office section has grown. By the way, I've shown sent these off to you in 2 separate documents. Often in the past, we would have them side by each. That's a weird way of saying that, I know. But because we've shifted the way that we wanted to show you the information in a more clear kind of a way, and when we put them side by side, it got clunky on a single page, and it just wasn't worth it. It was visually distracting and weird. So that's why it's 2 separate things. Anyways, that's what's going on there. So there's a couple of line items here that weren't there before. Professional fees and services, that represents a wonderful lady named Deborah Friesen, who helps us work through bookkeeping and QuickBook conundrums. We would hope that we would have fewer of those this next year, but you never know. Life throws you curveballs, so we anticipate that a little bit. And that's a reflection, by the way, of just kind of some of the stuff that we had going on this past year. Subscriptions and memberships. So we used to have a line item in general ministry expenses called technology, and it included much of what's in this line. It's the fee that we pay, or the membership and subscription we pay for having a website, or having payroll done, or the software we use to create different things. All of those things are membership with CCLI, which our musicians would be familiar with. Basically, it allows us to sing the songs in good conscience and to do that in an ethical kind of a way. All of that stuff is included there in subscriptions and memberships. And then you'll see that there is like office equipment. So that would be maybe even the other side of what used to be in technology. So we anticipate purchasing a couple of computers over this next year. Just we've got a good rotation going of just replacing a few each year, usually just a couple each year, and keeping things up to date while not being extravagant with those kinds of expenses. I think everything else sort of is fairly self-explanatory. Some of these things aren't necessarily like particularly officey things, but we needed to find a spot to acknowledge what was being spent and all of that. So that's that. And by the way, just for clarity's sake, this budget hasn't grown. This part of the budget hasn't grown because our office, our administrators were like, "Hey, we need more money." It's not that at all. It's just we needed to find a place to reflect it, and sometimes just one spot is as good as another. So that's that. This next section is ministries, general ministry expenses, and so some of this, I apologize, it's cut off in the way that this is being captured on my laptop, but you should have it there, all of it there on your document. I've reordered these a little bit. The top section really does reflect ministries that they're actively reaching out to either our own people, Waypoint people, or usually, and in most cases, it's not just reaching inward but outward as well. And so that's there. And also there's kind of been some cleaning up that's taken place. So children's education, that line, we used to have a separate line item for nursery. We felt like it was not necessary. We just included it in that. VBS is something that we'll come back to next year, and so that's a part of children's education. Youth ministry, kind of the same way, that there's these weekly meetings that happen, but we also anticipate that from our tithes and offerings, in other words, from this budget, we will contribute a certain amount there, $3,000 for Lift and $2,000 for winter camp, to just help offset costs. We have campers that come all the time that are unable to pay everything, and also just to kind of keep the overall cost down. We just anticipate that there will be some of that needs to happen. I won't speak too much into everything here. It's exciting to see the cool things that are going on in the body of Christ here at Waypoint. A couple of thoughts though here real quick. Celebrate Recovery. That number is down mostly because we anticipate that Celebrate Recovery will return. Like the Friday meetings, that part of it will return, but they're just not ready yet to make that happen. So when they come back, there will be a resurgence there, but we're anticipating just still kind of a waiting there. Community outreach is low. Community outreach includes things like Candy Carnival. We've been helping out with the community, 4th of July, just having a presence there, just a variety of those kinds of events. And we're not going to do Candy Carnival this fall. We think that things are getting better with COVID, and that we should feel more freedom and more comfort level with things like worship. But that particular event is, if you've been, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've not been, it's humanity en masse all over the place. And we talked about it. We could try and do it in a slimmed down kind of a way, but then just kind of the feeling was like, hey, that's not really Candy Carnival. That's not really the way that we do it. That's not how we want to present ourselves. And so we're not going to do the full blown version. If things continue to get well for us, we might do some kind of an alternative event on that date as a ministry to our community, but it'll be different and it'll be less, but it will not be Candy Carnival per se. And then it'll return. I believe that's what's going to happen. It'll return in the next fall. It'll be awesome. Musicians, we're not actually reducing your budget here by much at all, because your CCLI membership, some of those other things are included in subscriptions and membership. There you have it. Again, I'll just go ahead and say I think the rest of this is fairly self-explanatory. There's one line item here at the bottom that I wanted to speak to, which is bank fees. That's something that's kind of got introduced a few years ago, and then it's grown and it's grown and it's grown. This is what happens all from our online giving, either through our app or through the website. And so if you're giving through those, we just please keep doing that. We're not trying to stop you from doing that. But if you're giving through your debit card or your credit card, I would encourage you, make the switch to doing it directly from your checking account. It reduces the fee fairly substantially, and it would help us bring that number down. Also, if you have your giving, you're doing it through that online mechanism, and it's set just to repeat, and you haven't checked in on it for a while, if you go back and redo it, there is an option that's new where you can, this is totally voluntarily, by the way, but I guess I'm just asking. You can cover your own fee that would normally be charged to us. So you can take that on. So if, say you're given $100, there's a fee for that. And so, either we pay it, or you can raise your hand there. It gives you an option and says, hey, you can cover that. So if you'd be willing to do that, that would help us out a lot. By the way, if you write a physical check, there are 0 fees for that. So just a word to the wise, that's that. And there's a bit here at the bottom of the screen that you can't see. So total general ministry expenses is the next bit, and it's at $97,800, but you should be able to see that on your own copy of the budget. Missions, we decided to kind of reframe it a little bit. Local outreach is a part of that. It's not global, but it's a part of gospel living and gospel presentation happening in our community. And these two groups, Thrive and Red Barn, are active in doing that in our community. They're not actually a part of Waypoint, like they're not a Waypoint organization. But we see them as important, and we want to continue to partner with them. So those numbers are there. They've stayed static. In regards to our global missions, the top two are a little bit different, but everybody else, those represent people that are either from us, or they are they partnered with us in some way, and they're going out to a mission that we're supportive of. And we felt that it was important to give them a little bit of a bump. If it's been crazy for us, we can't imagine how crazy it's been for them. We want to make sure we support those missionaries. And so there's a little bit of an increase there. By the way, some of you might be wondering, why are some at 6 and some at 3? Those who are at 6,000 are people that are sent from Waypoint, and they are also serving a group of people that we, the line is maybe a little bit kind of fuzzy sometimes, but we see that group of people as being unreached and unchurched. And so they're doing a work that meets the heartbeat of Waypoint, but also they're from us. Everybody at the 3,000 level is either they're from us and they're serving in a part of the world where we think it's important, it's just not an unreached or unchurched group, or they're serving in an unreached or unchurched group of people, and they're not from us, but we felt like that mission is important, and we want to see that take place. So we've included them, but just at that level. It's just kind of a way for us to say yes without saying yes to everything and everybody. For all, we needed to be a little bit focused. So that's where that comes from. Again, I apologize. There's a little bit of a cutoff there. 44,400. And then we have staff expenses, and chose to kind of clean up that section a little bit there. That top section 52 and 53 it was just kind of confusing before, but that you can see. I think that's again fairly straightforward. And then under payroll expenses, that represents essentially a 2% raise for everybody, a kind of across the board sort of a cost of living adjustment there. And anyways, that's what's been presented. Usually this is the time in the meeting where I kind of excuse myself and step out, and you guys talk about us behind our backs, which is great. But just wanted you to know. And one of the big changes here is our admin assistant. It's not that we don't like her. It's that the need there has changed. That's an hourly employee. And as things kind of ramp back up, more work will kind of come. We'll need that position more again. But for now, it's just made sense. And she's doing great. And we're glad for that as well. But that's not like a reduction in pay rate. That's a reduction in hours, and then kind of our best guess at how that will look. And you'll see there too that we have the video live stream coordinator, and that's a new position. We're trying to do our best to increase the quality of that, and have that as an ongoing kind of a ministry, even beyond when COVID's done. We still want to offer that for those who are sick for whatever reason or just can't come on a particular Sunday. And there you have that. So again, there's one more piece here that kind of got cut off by the screen. Total payroll taxes there at the bottom. That totals to $17,200. Almost done. Just kind of a total picture thing. Budget total is $691,266. That's a drop from last year's proposed budget, and there you see the per month total. That's what we need to see happen, and how we would spend it if everything kind of holds steady. So there's that. Thank you so much for taking this time to view this. Again, I'm sure that you may have other questions, but I wanted to take this moment to try and explain sort of what's going on there. I love you guys. I appreciate you so much, and looking forward to just continuing to follow Jesus with you and to see what God's going to do. Just full confession here at the end. Budgets are not they're not my jam. I don't dig them, but they tell a story. And I believe that they're telling a story of God's faithfulness in us. And that's what gets me excited as I look to what's happening in this next year. And you're going to see more videos and presentations about what we're excited about. But the budget's part of that, just to see what's taking place within our body. God is active in us, and we're excited for that. So thank you once again. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.